QuadQuiz!
Brought to you by Math with Sir Lester. There are 3 questions for this video, and you are to answer them in 15 seconds each. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Consider this given quadratic equation. Which of the 3 coefficients is not present in this equation? And it's coefficient B. Now that we know that it's coefficient B that's not around, aside from the quadratic formula, which of these 3 methods of solving roots is easiest to be used? For this equation, the easiest is by extracting square roots. So with that, what are the roots of this given quadratic equation? The roots are 2 and negative 2. Did you get 3 over 3? If not, please continue viewing this video. Solving the roots of quadratic equation is equivalent to saying solving for the possible values of x that could satisfy this given equation. So for us to do that, there are certain methods, and we even have a formula for that. But for this video, we won't be using that formula yet, because we are going to examine this given equation and if we could determine automatically the roots using specific processes. In this given quadratic equation, what is unknown or what is not here is your b coefficient. Notice that your a coefficient is equal to 1. Your c coefficient or your constant is negative 4. And then your b, as mentioned, is not around, it's 0. Again, we do have a quadratic formula for that, but with this given already, we can use another method which is simpler than the quadratic formula. This only happens when your b is greater than 0. This only happens if your b is equal to 0. And whenever you have an example like that, you can use the extracting square roots method. Extracting square roots method will use, of course, from the name itself, taking the square roots of both sides of the equation. But there is a specific step before we could use that. The step we're talking here is isolating the constant to the other side. So instead of an equation x squared minus 4 equal to 0, we could move out 4 here, and we'll have a result of x squared is equal to positive 4. Don't get me wrong, okay? Don't get me wrong. We can still use here factoring, as mentioned earlier, the quadratic formula. But this is actually easier when you're going to compare all of these 3 methods, because right after this, you simply take the square root of both sides. That's why it's called extracting square roots. So the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 4, before we go to that one, there is a idea here, or the rule or a concept that we always need to follow whenever we take the root of a constant. And again, when we take the root of a constant, it should always be with positive and negative of whatever the result of this. Why we consider 2 values? Take that when we square a number of different or opposite sign, let's say 5, that's 25, and the square of negative 5, its opposite is also 25 or positive 25. That would mean there could be 2 possible values. They're opposite numbers that could result to a specific perfect square number. And in this case, with this, we could have the first value of x being the positive square root of 4, which is 2, and the second root is the negative of the square root of 4, which is 2. So without using the quadratic formula, we could already identify the roots here using extracting square roots. Again, this will only be possible if b is equal to 0. So this is the discussion for the answers for this QuadQuiz. Subscribe now!